What's up, guys? Welcome to that one time in rehab. You are watching the end of the week wrap up. We talked about a lot of good things this week. We had a lot of good topics, a lot of good conversations. I'm jacked on like 6 Red Bulls right now. I'm like jumping out of my skin. It's an addiction. Caffeine's an addiction. Speaking of addiction, let's talk about addiction and the stigmatization on the word addiction. I had a friend on the show yesterday, Molly, talking about marijuana and if she thought it was trading one addiction for another. And her response was no, which, that's valid. My answer would be yes, like you are definitely trading out one addiction for another. And that's okay. That's a good thing. I believe, addiction is a good thing as long as it's an addiction to something that's not going to ruin your life. Some people, an old lady has an addiction to knitting. Just because you hear the word addiction, you think it's a bad thing, but it's better than that lady having an oxycontin addiction. I've got like 15 addictions. I got nicotine, caffeine, you know clothes, shoes, concerts. They're addictions. Like I can't. I'm an addict. I can't moderate any of these things. Like when it comes to concerts, I go to every single concert. Have to sit in the front row every time, every concert. It's an addiction. Every morning I wake up, I have to have a Red Bull or a McDonald's frappe with an extra shot of espresso. That's an addiction. I consider these addictions because I have an addictive personality and anything I do is basically an addiction. So as long as I fill those addictions with things that are somewhat healthy, I know caffeine will give me a heart attack, but it's better than other things. If I fill those, that void with all these smaller addictions that aren't as bad, I think that's a good thing. And I think we all have a million addictions. We just don't like the word addiction. Just a fucking word. And speaking of stigmatizing that word, medically assisted treatment, Suboxone. Now, this is one like I like talking about this because I always had a bad taste in my mouth about Suboxone. Literally, too. It tasted terrible. That orangey taste. But when it came to Suboxone, when people got sober, I thought that was like the easy way out. Let's just go on maintenance and call it a day. And those people couldn't, the halfway houses wouldn't accept them. People go to meetings, they wouldn't accept them. And that's how I felt. I felt like basically I was jealous because I wasn't on Suboxone. I was doing it the other way. And I felt that way until I moved to Indiana and I started a treatment center. And you see we had so many people die because of heroin overdoses. So many. And then at that point, I was like, fuck. MATs, it's the best chance we have to keep somebody alive because you could put somebody on that the minute they get sober. Well, I think it's 24 hours after they use their last dose. So it's filling those receptors so they're not having as many cravings, if any. It's the gold standard with insurance. That's what all insurance companies want now, which I also thought was stupid initially. But, what's the rate that regular treatment works? What percentage of people go to treatment and stay sober? Probably very, very, very low. It'll probably be, I would guess that if they put every person on Suboxone, we'd have more people staying sober. People could choose what they want to put in their body. If someone wants to be on Suboxone, let them be on Suboxone. If they say they're sober, they're sober. That's a personal choice. So, yeah, I don't feel like, because when I was on it, I just abused it. So when other people were on it, I was basically projecting. And, if taking a strip is going to stop somebody from putting a needle in their arm and possibly dying, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Going to the next topic in regards to opiates as well, Dr. Carl Hart. He's the neuroscientist. He's that doctor with dreads. He's an advocate for decriminalizing drugs. Best-selling author. He was just on the Joe Rogan show again, which is like the biggest show in the world. So this guy must be a big deal. And I think him advocating to decriminalize drugs is a great thing. Like that, I think that should happen. They should decriminalize drugs. They should be legal because people should be able to decide what they want to put in their body. If they decriminalized all drugs and you could go to the gas station and buy heroin right now, would that make me go buy heroin right now? Fuck no. The only person that's going to buy it is the people that are already using drugs. And then you're not dealing with drug dealers. You're not dealing with the cartel. The drugs are probably going to be cleaner. I don't know. I just think that we should decriminalize because the jails are filled with drug addicts. It's all drug addicts and people that were selling drugs. Keep the people that were selling drugs in there, but the drug addicts, not even drug addicts, people have mental health issues. People don't understand that. Like, I'm a drug addict, but first and foremost, I was bipolar and had Asperger's, and that's the reason that I started self-medicating because I wanted to feel normal. It wasn't because I wanted to be high. I wanted to feel normal. And because I wanted to feel normal and I was using drugs, I ended up in jail for it. Just because I wanted to feel normal. That's not right. That's not right. It's all, if you go into a jail, stay a couple nights. The beds suck, but it's like the same bed as a hospital. And you'll realize that, you see on TV all these big dudes beating the shit out of each other and everything. Like, in reality, it was mostly people on their fucking beds puking and shitting because they were detoxing off drugs. And the jail I went to, Gun Club, they wouldn't give you any detox meds. That's like inhumane punishment right there. Rather than looking at somebody like they have a mental health issue, people are looked like that they're just drug addicts. Like, being a drug addict is that's their entire identity. And then when you're treated that way, you start to believe it. If someone keeps beating me down all my life and telling me I'm a piece of shit, I'm eventually going to believe that I'm a piece of shit. So how do we change this? I have no fucking clue. There's just so many people, and there's just no money to do it. And I don't think the government cares enough. I know we're under this mental health awareness thing, but I don't think we're shining the light on what something that's very important is that all of us junkies and drug addicts got to where we are because of mental health issues. Drugs aren't our problem. The mental health issues are our problem, because we could stop using drugs and we still have those mental health issues, and then we end up starting to use drugs again because those creep right back on us. So rather than looking at us like we're junkies and drug addicts, we should be looked at, or I believe we should be looked at, as people that are mentally ill. You're not going to throw somebody in jail because of mental illness, but they are. That's what they're doing. People are getting thrown in jail because of mental illness every single day. And you think of it this way too. You've got people in there that are, they're slow. Somebody who's like 25 and they've been using drugs for 10 years, or they had a bad car accident and they had a brain injury or whatnot, and mentally they're about 13 or 14 years old. There's a lot of that. And you're going to throw a 13 or 14-year-old in jail? Yeah, he's 25, but with the trauma he's gone through, he's basically 13. These people are, these are the lost people, the people that get lost in the criminal justice system. They don't come from a rich family, or they're basically screwed, and they'll keep going around in the cycle. And when someone's not competent enough to know these things, like a 13-year-old child's not going to know what to fucking do. It's just how it is. But yeah, I think a lot of things need to change with the criminal justice system, and the stigmatization on the word addiction, junkie, and drug addict, when what we really are is just people with mental health issues. And drugs are just something that we're using to ease the pain or to feel normal or whatnot. The majority of us don't even want to get high. We just don't want to feel the way we feel right now, which is really shitty. And we shouldn't go to jail for that. I don't believe we should. And let's get into marijuana legalization with all of that. It's the same thing. I think, marijuana it's weird because when I was a lot younger, this word was very stigmatized. And I feel like, it's going mainstream, marijuana legalization. Now, what I don't get, what bothers me the most is, so you've got these states that are legalizing it, right? Now, by legalizing marijuana, the only people the people that are gonna buy marijuana are the people that currently smoke marijuana, or the people that want to smoke marijuana, or their doctors send them there, or they're on pain medication and they don't want to take that pain medication anymore because it's highly addictive and really bad for them, so they want to go try marijuana. That's what happens when you open up a dispensary. You don't get kids smoking marijuana. So the tax money that those places make and bring into the state is insane. It is a ton of money. And here we are in Indiana. The schools have, besides Carmel, because we know it's all fucked up. All the schools are, that they need funding. The teachers are getting paid 28 grand a year. Imagine dealing with children, other people's children, like 30 of them, all freaking day, and then grading their homework at night, and caring for them and teaching them, and whatever. 28 grand to 30 grand a year, that's terrible. These poor people can't even pay their bills. Yet we won't legalize something because I don't even know if I want to say it. The state's like how do you describe the state, Indiana? We're about 20 years behind, and it's a bunch of old school rednecks, or old school, what kind of people are they? No, not rednecks, like the people like the governor and stuff, like people you would see at a completely out of touch with reality. They don't give a fuck how much our teachers get paid, or our, the lower level government workers get paid. Because if we legalized marijuana, that tax money could go right into the schools, can give teachers more money. So a teacher teaching right now, I mean, it's 9 o'clock on a Thursday, so they're at school right now. But think of it this way. All the state would have to do is legalize something that all the other states are doing, something that we know isn't problematic, something that we know does nothing but help people. Yet, why aren't we doing that? Because the people at the top, like Governor Holcomb and stuff, the legalization doesn't affect them at all, because they're going to get paid what they get paid regardless. They have their ulterior motives, and keeping marijuana illegal is good for the pharmaceutical industry. And that's, where the lobbyists come in and everything. So I do think it'll be legal here. I don't think it'll be for a little while, maybe in the next 5 years. But like I said, the state's ass backwards, because the people we should be taking care of, like if you let a cancer patient legally buy marijuana, you're able to pay a teacher what they deserve to be paid. The people that are like, molding our youth, the people that will be in charge someday. And the most important job in the world, and they get paid the least and treated like shit. So that's how I feel about marijuana legalization. Also, what about, you can go to the store and buy alcohol. If I go to the store right now, drink a fifth of vodka, and I go drive, crash my car, get a DUI. If I go smoke a couple bowls of weed, what's going to happen? I'm going to be on my fucking couch eating or watching TV. No DUI, no car accident. It's retarded. You can go to the store and buy any type of alcohol you want, but you cannot legally smoke weed. That doesn't make sense. Weed is 10 times less harmful than alcohol. Alcohol is the most, one of the, if not the most dangerous drug. You can die withdrawing off alcohol. You can't die withdrawing off heroin. It's right up there with benzos. Benzos, you could die from withdrawing to the seizures and everything. It's the same way with alcohol. Yet, and marijuana, is withdrawing off marijuana going to kill you? No, you're probably not going to have any withdrawals, if any at all. So you're allowed to buy something that can kill you, but you can't buy pot. Doesn't make any sense. What would you rather have? A state with everyone, with a bunch of alcoholics, or a state with a bunch of potheads? Here, think of it this way. We live in the United States right now. Every single person in the United States is either an alcoholic or a pothead. Which one are you choosing? And I'm sure we all had the same answer. Now, another aspect of marijuana. People in recovery smoking marijuana. Is marijuana sober? That was the topic of the story the other day, and it's a completely irrelevant question. Is marijuana sober? Sobriety is something that comes from that you decide. You decide if you're sober or not. If you're smoking pot and you're in sobriety and you think you're sober, then you're sober. Nobody can tell you otherwise. Sobriety is something that's, for me, it's emotional sobriety. Treating people right. not lying, being a good person, doing that, emotional sobriety, not cheating on my girlfriend, um, you know, doing what's right. That's emotional sobriety. That's what's important to me because you can go to an AA meeting or an NA meeting or any type of meeting and you've got that fucking old prick that's always there. It's like raising his hand, most negative guy in the world, has so much to say, yet he's so negative, and that's the thing too. Like with that negativity, it's like, oh, I don't even want to. And then they're gonna start telling you what's sober and what's not sober. I don't give a fuck if you used to walk to school up a hill with no shoes back in 1922. You are not going to tell me what's sober and what's not sober. Regardless if I smoke weed or not smoke weed, I decide what sobriety is. Just because your old ass is fucking velcroed to that chair over there and you've been coming here for 20 years doesn't mean you get to tell me what sobriety is. Sobriety is something that comes from within. If you want other people to be sober, you get sober and set a good example. That'll get other people sober, not pushing your beliefs on other people. So I believe that marijuana is sober if you think marijuana is sober. If you smoke marijuana in your recovery and you think you're sober, then you're sober. Nope, don't let anyone tell you otherwise. I mean, what are you going to do? I said this the other day. You can't even have somebody tell you if you're a man or a woman anymore. You can't assume somebody's gender. How could you tell somebody if they should smoke pot or not? Keep your mouth shut and worry about yourself. I said something that offended somebody in regards to sex offenders. I said all sex offenders should die. And when I said that, I meant, like, when I said it, I was just speaking in general, like Epstein and fucking R. Kelly, or you get the picture. But what I didn't, think of is, do you ever watch those Predator shows on YouTube? So they go out and they set up these sick people to catch them trying to get with young women or boys. And it's an entertaining show, but what bothers me a lot sometimes, is that they'll come across these people, and it's a lot of times, who aren't, they have learning disabilities. They don't know how to communicate. It's basically like a child as well. And they're there berating these people. And when the reality is, these people need help. They don't need to be fucking publicly made fun of online. I mean, that's like making fun of a child. So I don't agree with my statement that all child molesters or all sex offenders should die, because there's sex offenders that are, like I just said, people that get caught up that aren't right in the head. Or somebody that's like 19 dating a girl who's like 16, or they've been dating for a while and they have shitty parents and they call the cops. So yeah, there's a lot of issues where, there's sex offenders that do deserve another chance. Especially, I mean, it pisses me off when I watch those shows and they come across these people that are like, they publicly humiliate somebody with a learning disability. Like, these people don't know any better. Get them help. Don't put them on fucking TV. If I was doing that, if I was one of those like predator catchers, I would make sure that they got help. I would not fucking put that on the internet for everybody to see. These people don't know any better. They don't have a chance to begin with anyway, and you just took away any chance they had in the future. So that's how I feel about sex offenders. And that's it. That's our week in review. Addiction, marijuana legalization, sex offenders, Dr. Cole Hart, and Suboxone. You guys have a great weekend. Feel free to